of the vehicle. Trooper Seipel was behind the vehicle. Corporal Kelly was hit several times as a result of the gunfire. Even after being hit, Corporal Kelly and Trooper Seipel both returned fire, shooting the actor multiple times. He was also struck multiple times. Mr. Clary at this point gets back into his vehicle and drives away from the scene. He actually drove himself to Easton Hospital. Corporal Kelly, he was gravely injured at this point. He fell over the guide rail. Even through all of this, he carries a tourniquet on his belt, and he was able to have the wherewithal to pull that tourniquet off his belt and apply that to one of his wounds, more than likely saving his own life. At this point, EMS, police, fire, everyone starts to arrive on scene to assist with the investigation. We had a call that there was a subject with a gunshot wound at the hospital in Easton. Went in there and basically told them right off the bat that I was just in a shooting involving a state trooper. So we got troopers over there immediately, and he was placed in custody at that point. Corporal Kelly was life flighted to St. Luke's Hospital in Bethlehem, where he underwent emergency surgery yesterday afternoon for multiple gunshot wounds. He was admitted to the hospital in extremely critical condition. I was at the scene. Lieutenant Sokolowski was at the scene. It was a bad scene. He was not in good shape when we were there. But he was, like I said, he was life flighted to Bethlehem, St. Luke's Hospital, and he had emergency surgery. Last night, he was stabilized after surgery, and as of this morning, he is still in critical condition but stable. He has another surgery scheduled either for later this evening or tomorrow morning, depending on how the doctors are feeling right now. They're still they're still monitoring him, and they're not sure if he's quite ready yet for another surgery. But he does have another surgery coming up within, like I said, either later on today or tomorrow morning at the latest. Mr. Clary is under police guard right now at Lehigh Valley Cedar Crest Hospital, and he is going to be getting arraigned at 10:15 this morning. So he'll be getting arraigned very shortly, a bedside arraignment. I said this yesterday, and I'd like to say it again. I want to thank publicly again all the support that we've got from outside agencies, from the EMTs at the scene yesterday, from police officers, fire personnel, and especially St. Luke's. They absolutely saved this trooper's life, and we'll be forever grateful for that. So, our trooper right now, he's battling it. He's certainly not out of the woods by any means, but like I said yesterday, he is a very strong individual, and he displayed a will yesterday that he wanted to live and get through this. And we're all very proud of him for the way both of my troopers acted yesterday. They did an outstanding job. So at this time, I'd like to turn it over to District Attorney Morgan Ellie to discuss the incident a little further and the charges that Mr. Clary is going to be facing.
Thank you very much, Captain, and appreciate members of the press for your patience. I know as events unfolded yesterday, not only the state police but myself gets inundated with phone calls, text messages, and emails. And normally, for those of you who know, we try to respond, but quite frankly, we had very little information, and I'd like to be accurate before we start giving out information to the press and to the public. So today, I think we're in a better position to talk a little bit about the events. And I just wanted to say a couple things. First of all, I want to say that from the time that this incident happened yesterday, I received excellent communications from the emergency response people here in Northampton County, the 911 center. I was in constant contact with Lieutenant Sokolowski and Captain D'Ambrosio yesterday as the events unfolded. And basically, we came to a quick understanding of how this would be best be handled. Obviously, our first thoughts and priorities was making sure that Trooper Kelly would get the attention he needed, and our thoughts and our actions surrounded a lot of that. I want to comment on that for a moment before I get into what happened yesterday, and that is this morning I had the occasion to be with Rick Anderson, the CEO of St. Luke's Hospital, and I talked with Rick briefly about the excellent work that was done at St. Luke's Hospital to save this trooper's life. And we are very fortunate we have a facility like St. Luke's Health Network in our community. The people who worked on Trooper Kelly were the best. He was in very bad shape when he arrived, and they were able to stabilize him. And I thanked Rick Anderson for the work of his staff, and he personally was keeping tabs on the condition of the trooper through his medical personnel, so he had an extreme concern about that. And I also want to acknowledge the first responders who were on the scene, because when they arrived there, the trooper was in very, very bad shape, and but for their efforts and their expertise, so we might have a different outcome today. And so I'd be remiss if I did not mention that. I want to say that as the afternoon went on yesterday, I consulted with Lieutenant Sokolowski and Captain D'Ambrosio, and we agreed that this investigation would be a joint investigation with the Pennsylvania State Police and the District Attorney's Office. This case required a lot of work to be done at the scene, as normally these things are, and the State Police were out there till late in the evening yesterday. They may even still be out there again wrapping up things, but I'm very confident that we have all the information as to what went on at that scene, and we had that information quickly, and was able so that we could prepare a police criminal complaint and an affidavit of probable cause, which was prepared yesterday by my first Deputy Assistant DA, Terry Houck, who most likely will be handling this case. Mr. Houck is the senior man in my office. He's a very experienced prosecutor, has done numerous homicide cases, and this is a top priority for our office to prosecute someone who attempted to cause fatal injury to 2 police officers. I approved the charges yesterday. Those charges I think the press knows about. I want to just clear up a little confusion, because some the text that I got was people were asking me as to whether or not this individual was charged with homicide, because that's the way the complaint's written. The reason why there's a little confusion on that is not because we did anything improper or wrong. It's because of the computer system, of the way the computer accepts these kinds of charges. And so we had to put out the charge of criminal homicide, which is the substantive charge, but if you read the small print, it says attempted homicide, and there's a little box that you check that says attempted. So on first glance, if you look at this, it appears as if we charged criminal homicide, but really, in reality, it is 2 counts of attempted criminal homicide. And then there's a specific statute that the legislature adopted a number of years ago, which actually deals with a criminal homicide of a law enforcement officer. Specifically applies to law enforcement officers who may be killed, or if they're attempted to be killed in the line of duty. So that's a second charge. And the charge of aggravated assault, which has been filed also, it's also a specialized of aggravated assault charge. There's a specific section that deals with aggravated assaults on a law enforcement officer. It actually increases the potential penalty. Normally, a felony 1 would have a maximum of 20 years. However, when it involves a law enforcement officer, that maximum goes to 40 years. So we're looking at a maximum of 40 years on these charges relative to aggravated assault. And the other charges, I think, speak for themselves. Disarming a law enforcement officer, which is also a felony 3, and the fact that we have an escape charge, and the fact that we should not overlook is that this individual had no right to be in possession of a firearm at all, did not have a license to carry, and he was charged with that offense as well. I have assigned Detective Romanek, Northampton County Detective, in my office. I did that yesterday to work with the state police investigators. He will be focused on making sure that we examine both issues here. Obviously, we have the fact that our number 1 victim here was a police officer, and 2 police officers had to use deadly force to protect themselves. I don't think that's going to be much of an issue in this case. It's obviously that this individual retrieved a gun from his vehicle and started to shoot at the police. They have an absolute right to respond in kind and to exchange fire. So that matter is not something that I'm even thinking about much. But we will probably very quickly, obviously, put that aside by saying the police officer is justified to use self-defense. This is a case that we're focused on, my office, on prosecuting this individual, Daniel Clary. Some people have asked me also about, well, how did this individual escape the two, police officers in a physical scuffle or get loose? I don't know Mr. Clary, but I do note that he's 200 pounds and 5'10", and sometimes he's a big guy. He's young. He's 22 years old, and also may or may not have been under the influence of some drug, which sometimes gives people more strength and ability to escape a situation like this. But we'll have more information when we get his blood results back and we look at it, what went on with him. The good news, hopefully today, is that hopefully Trooper Kelly will continue to improve and make a full recovery. But my office is committed to making sure that this individual gets a very, very, very long jail sentence, consistent with the maximum sentence that the law provides. And lastly, let me just say, that I know Trooper Kelly and his wife, Philomena, who's been reported out there. Her and I worked very closely on a murder case many years ago, Commonwealth versus Patinas. We spent hours together, a successful prosecution. They both are outstanding individuals, and all the people who work for the Pennsylvania State Police, men and women that put their lives on the line every single day. A motor vehicle stop, a speeding ticket, a DUI, it can turn deadly, can turn very dangerous, and so we always have to remind ourselves that these individuals put on the uniform and go out to work, that they're out there guarding between us and these individuals who want to do harm. So I commend Captain D'Ambrosio, Lieutenant Sokolowski. I have Trooper Mark Allen here to my right, who I also know and have worked with on a number of matters. We have really quality folks here doing this matter, and I'm confident that things will work out well for everyone involved. Thank you very much.
I'll answer some questions right now. I will tell you that I am on my way to the hospital. I do want to meet with Corporal Kelly and his family, so please keep it brief. But if anybody has any questions, I will answer some questions.
Captain, does the corporal have children?
No, he does not.
Captain,
no.
the corporal's listed when he graduated from the PSP Academy in 2004.
That's
it's listed
correct.
in Holmesdale, Wayne County. Is that where he's from and currently serves?
I'm not sure. He lives in he lives in Northampton County.
Is he from Wayne County?
Yes, he is from
He
there
is from
originally.
Holmesdale?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Where was he struck?
We do not know. Right now, he was struck once in the leg, and then another round, at least one other round, either in the neck or in the shoulder area. He's going into another surgery later on this afternoon to hopefully remove another bullet that's still in him. And as of right now, we do not know exactly how many times that he's been struck.
What kind of weapon did Clary have? Was it a handgun?
It was a semi-automatic pistol.
The tourniquet that the state troopers carry, is that part of their uniform?
That's part of every patrol unit in the state police has them. Corporal Kelly had the wherewithal to actually wear it on his belt because that's and obviously that's when it came in handy for him. Usually when you need it, you're outside of the car, and he did that.
Clary had no license for this weapon, right?
I don't know.
He was charged with firearms, but not to be carried, right? He wasn't supposed to be carrying a firearm.
Because
Why not?
Did he have
Well,
a full fire charge?
it was inside a vehicle. It's a concealed carry, so you have to have a permit to carry it on your person or in a vehicle. He had no permit to carry.
Why did Clary flag down the trooper afterwards? What did they talk about?
He wanted to discuss how to go about paying the citation. Trooper Seipel explained that to him on the initial encounter with him. Apparently, Mr. Clary still had questions as to how he was to go about paying the citation. So that's what he called him up to discuss further.
Captain, do you have any witness testimony or anything like that that tells us how long they were fighting that period of time?
Well, we actually watched the video, so I know exactly how long it was. They were roughly wrestling around on the ground. I don't know specifically, but it was close to about 2 minutes is how long the actual fight took place. Maybe a minute and a half to 2 minutes, which doesn't sound like a lot, but believe me, when you're out there fighting with someone, and it was a heck of a knockdown, drag-out fight. When you're out there along the side of the road doing that, and you got vehicles whizzing by you, I mean that's a very, very long time to tussle with someone out along the side of the roadway.
When you were able to talk to Mr. Clary, was he cooperative?
I'm sorry?
When you spoke to Mr. Clary, was he cooperative?
I don't have that information right now.
Does he have prior charges before this?
I think he has just one minor charge.
Do you know what it was?
I thought I read retail theft, but I'm not 100% sure, but it's a very minor charge, though.
So Captain, the fight breaks out on the roadside. Can you kind of walk us through distances? And so it's about 2 minutes that they're scuffling on the roadside.
Right.
We're on the ground at this point?
On the ground. Actually, at one point, all three of them were actually wrestling in the right lane of Route 33. Luckily, there were no vehicles coming at that time, or if they were, they saw them and got over. You know, we're watching the video from the trooper's camera, so we see everything that's going on. We see them actually falling and wrestling around in the right lane of Route 33. Many vehicles passing along the left-hand side. We did get some calls from people reporting the incident and the fight. But you know, the fight itself, like I said, it lasted roughly about 1.5 to 2 minutes. They're on the roadway, then they're in between both vehicles, the trooper's vehicle and and Mr. Clary's vehicle, along the berm there, and then again, like I said, he raced around the front of his car and retrieved the weapon.
Did anyone try to stop and help?
No one did stop. I'm sorry.
Roughly the distance, Captain, from scuffle point to car. Were they right there?
They were right in between, like on a regular traffic stop. You know, probably 6 feet within our trooper's car and the defendant's vehicle.
So they were on the highway, right?
At one point, yes, they were, all three of them, in the right lane.
Clary's disorderly charge from a few years ago says he lives in Easton, now he lives in Effort. Is there any, so he has ties to Northampton County?
I don't know that. I know he's from Effort. I don't know what kind of ties that he has in this area.
Will you make the video available to the media of the scuffle?
I don't know at this point. I'm sure at some point that will be released, but that's probably much further down the road.
Not today?
No, not today. Definitely not today.
Where was Clary shot?
He was hit multiple times. I know he was shot once in the back of the neck, I believe. Once along the side. He was hit in the hand, and a couple of other places that, honest to God, I don't know. But I know he was hit once in the back of the neck, and it lodged into his head.
Was Seipel injured at all in the scuffle?
Seipel was injured in the scuffle, minor injury to his arm.
Those shots that the defendant received, were they from both troopers or one trooper?
I don't know if we've determined that yet or not. I'm sure that has not been determined. Like I said, Trooper Seipel was shooting from the back of the vehicle, and Corporal Kelly was shooting from the passenger side. I don't know the rounds that he was struck. I don't know which gun they came out of at this point.
So Trooper Kelly returned fire after the scuffle, after he was injured?
Yes.
Captain, is there any way we could get pictures of both Corporal Kelly and Trooper Seipel?
We can provide this. Yes, I'll be able to get them for you.
Has the defendant made any statements about why he chose this?
Jeff, you want to comment on that?
He did make statements.
Can you step forward?
He made statements. I don't want to disclose the contents of the statements, but he's not denying his involvement.
Is there admission?
He's not denying his involvement in the incident.
Denying.
He's not.
Sorry.
Yeah,
No, he's not denying.
He's not denying his involvement.
Any word on Clary's condition at this time?
No. He was
Mr. Clary have an attorney?
got operated on last night, and we're with him now. We'll be with him until he goes to jail.
Will we get a photo of him as well?
Yes.
Was the gun registered to Mr. Clary?
Yes.
It was.
Does Mr. Clary have an attorney?
Not to our knowledge.
So the gun was registered to carry, but didn't have a permit to carry it?
Correct. You mentioned that Corporal Kelly fell over the guardrail. Was this during the fight, or did he collapse afterwards?
It was basically after he got shot. He kind of climbs over the guy rail to maybe to give himself some cover, or just as a result of his injuries, he fell over. But he falls over the guy rail, and then after he's over the guy rail and he had been struck, he's still firing rounds into Mr. Clary's vehicle.
Have you been able to speak much to Corporal Kelly, or is most of that coming from the dash cam video that you were able to see?
As far as the incident itself, that's everything is from dash cam video. I was able to speak with him in the hospital last night. He couldn't speak back, but I did talk to him very briefly last night.
You guys don't have body cameras?
No, we don't.
What's the prognosis for Kelly?
He's like I said, he's critical but stable right now. We all have our fingers crossed for him, and like I said, he has another surgery scheduled either later today or tomorrow. But right now, he's doing much better than he was 24 hours ago, certainly.
Captain, this was a routine patrol. This was he was responding to a call for assistance, correct?
Exactly, yeah. Corporal Kelly assisted Trooper Seipel on the traffic stop.
Can you elaborate at all on the evidence in the car? Was it marijuana, paraphernalia kind of stuff?
I believe it was paraphernalia. I don't know that for a fact, though.
And that vehicle was registered to Clary?
Yes.
Any chance that Trooper Seipel might be